Welcome to Starbound Vela HFY. Subscribe now and dive into daily epic sci-fi adventures where humanity always rises. The sky above Earth was dark and calm, filled with the silent glow of countless stars. In orbit, a massive structure hung like a steel moon, the Terran space dock. Inside it, humanity's greatest creation waited, surrounded by light, noise, and wonder. The Titan-class warship Aegis Dawn was ready to leave for its first mission beyond the stars. It was the largest ship ever built by human hands, 15 kilometers long, armed with rail cannons, plasma lances, and a heart powered by quantum fusion core. But more than a weapon, it was a symbol. Aegis Dawn carried humanity's hopes, fears, and dreams. This was not just a mission. It was a statement to the universe: we are here. Inside the command bridge, Admiral Rowan Hale stood in front of the main viewport, watching the curve of Earth below. He had seen wars, disasters, and the endless struggle of humanity to rise again. But this was different. This was the beginning of something far greater. Around him, officers moved quickly, preparing the ship for departure. Every sound, every step felt heavy with history. The last checks were complete. Engines were stable. Navigation routes were locked. The Admiral's voice broke the silence. All stations, report status. One by one, voices replied through the comms. Navigation, green. Weapons, green. Life support, green. AI core, stable. The ship's artificial intelligence, EVA, spoke last. Her voice was calm, soft, almost human. Aegis Dawn ready for launch, Admiral. Awaiting your command. Hale nodded slowly. Then let's make history. Initiate launch sequence. Outside, the giant clamps released. The ship drifted free from the dock. Its engines came alive, glowing white-blue as plasma energy filled the drive chambers. The people of Earth, watching from below and from orbital stations, cheered as the Titan-class ship began to move. Humanity was sending its strongest warship into deep space, to follow a strange signal that had been discovered 6 months earlier. The signal came from far beyond the explored frontier, past the Kepler expanse, an empty region where no probe had ever returned. It was faint, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. No one could identify its source. Some believed it was a natural phenomenon. Others believed it was a message. Admiral Hale had read the decoded fragments hundreds of times. The translation made no sense, just 3 words repeated over and over: "We are waiting." He didn't know what it meant. No one did. But Command believed it was worth investigating. Now, the Aegis Dawn was about to cross the threshold between known and unknown. As the ship prepared to jump into hyperspace, EVA detected something strange. "Admiral," she said, her tone slightly distorted. "There's an anomaly in the comm signal. I am receiving interference." Hale frowned. "From where?" "Unknown," she replied. "It appears to be coming from inside the system." The bridge fell silent for a moment. Hale looked toward his communications officer. "Filter it and continue launch." The officer nodded. The static vanished. The jump drive began to hum, building up energy. Below, in the crew decks, engineers and soldiers strapped in for the jump. Some whispered prayers. Others stared at small screens showing the stars. Lieutenant Maravos, the ship's science officer, watched the data streams from her console. She noticed something strange. The interference had a pattern, like someone whispering in between the noise. She leaned closer, adjusting the filters. For a brief second, she heard a voice. It was faint, distant, and slow, like someone speaking through water. It said, "Don't come." Myra's heart raced. She checked again, but the signal was gone. Eva's voice came over the intercom. "All decks, prepare for hyperspace transition. 10 seconds." The countdown began. The engines roared. Light filled every corner of the ship, and space around them began to twist. The crew held their breath as the Aegis Dawn jumped. Then, darkness. For exactly 3.2 seconds, the ship vanished from all sensors. Earth Command watched in confusion. The communication feed cut out. Then, just as suddenly, it returned. Eva's voice came through first. "Transmission restored. We have successfully entered hyperspace." On the bridge, Hale exhaled. "Status. All systems normal," EVA said. "However, there was a brief gap in my memory during the jump. Hale turned. Define gap. 3.2 seconds missing from my internal record. Cause unknown. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. Something was wrong. Did we pass through anything unusual? He asked. Negative, EVA replied. But the signal, it changed. Changed how? Hale asked. It's stronger now, EVA said softly. It followed us. The Admiral looked at the stars stretching beyond the view screen. For the first time, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Fear. Humanity's greatest ship had left home behind, heading toward a mystery older than its own history. Somewhere beyond the stars, something was waiting, and it already knew they were coming. As the crew settled into hyperspace travel, the lights dimmed to night mode. Myra sat alone at her station, replaying the strange whisper she thought she'd heard. Maybe it was just static. Maybe her mind was tired. But deep down, she knew it wasn't. The sound had felt alive. In the command deck, Admiral Hale stood before the stars, silent. He reached into his uniform pocket and pulled out a small photograph, a picture of Earth, shining blue and peaceful. He looked at it for a long moment, then turned back to the empty black ahead. Whatever's out there, he whispered, we'll face it. Outside, the Aegis Dawn sailed through the endless sea of space, its engines burning like a white star. Behind it, the world watched. Ahead of it, the unknown waited. And somewhere, far beyond human reach, a signal pulsed once more, steady, patient, and alive. When the Aegis Dawn emerged from hyperspace, space around the ship looked strangely wrong. The stars seemed dimmer here, and the void felt thicker, almost heavy. No one could describe it clearly, but every crew member felt it. The sense that they had crossed into a part of the universe that didn't want to be found. The ship's engines cooled as navigation systems stabilized. On the bridge, Admiral Rowan Hale watched the distant flicker of starlight on the main screen. Report status, he said quietly. Lieutenant Myra Voss, the science officer, scanned her instruments. All systems functional, she said, but sensors are acting strange. There's a kind of electromagnetic fog. It's interfering with long-range scans. Eva's voice came next, calm but slightly distorted. We have entered the Kepler expanse. Estimated coordinates match the source of the deep space signal. Hale nodded. Begin triangulation. Let's find out what's calling us. Hours passed as the ship drifted slowly through the dark sector. Outside the windows, nebula clouds swirled faintly like smoke in water. The crew worked in silence, trying to map their surroundings. But the farther they went, the less their instruments seemed to understand. Stars disappeared from the charts. Readings made no sense. Even light itself seemed slower. Myra frowned at her console. Admiral, she said, I think the signal's changing. It's not just repeating anymore. It's responding. Hale turned to her. Responding to what? To us, she whispered. Every time we ping for location data, it adjusts its frequency. It's like it knows we're listening. The bridge fell quiet. EVA processed the data and displayed a waveform on the main screen. The sound was rhythmic, like a pulse. Then, faintly, a pattern began to emerge, a series of intervals too precise to be random. EVA translated it into binary, then into sound. A low hum filled the bridge. The hum shifted into slow, deliberate words. We are waiting. Everyone froze. The same 3 words they'd seen in the first message, but this time, it sounded alive. Myra felt her skin crawl. It's not an echo, she said softly. It's a voice. Admiral Hale straightened. Record it. Continue analysis. He turned to the crew. We're here to find answers, not ghosts. But even he felt unease growing. The space around them seemed darker by the minute. A low vibration echoed through the hull, almost like a heartbeat deep within the metal. Eva's lights flickered for a moment. Admiral, she said, I'm detecting mass displacement nearby. Ships? Hale asked. Negative, EVA replied. No metal signatures, no energy emissions, but something is moving. The navigation officer glanced at the radar. Sir, look at this. On the screen, a faint shadow appeared behind them, massive, undefined, and silent. It wasn't approaching. It was just there, watching. Full scan, Hale ordered. Myra increased power to the sensors, but the image vanished instantly. It's gone, she said. Like it wasn't there. The Admiral's jaw tightened. Keep recording everything. I want continuous scans, no blind spots. He looked at EVA. What are we dealing with? Unknown, she replied. But its gravitational footprint suggests a mass several times larger than our own ship. It may be cloaked or existing on another phase level. Hale didn't like that answer, but he said nothing. Later, in the mess hall, the crew whispered about what they'd seen. Some called it a glitch. Others said it was a ship made of shadow. Rumor spread fast. Myra ate alone, reading through the decoded fragments of the signal again. Something about the pulse pattern felt intelligent. Not random, not accidental. She isolated one section and amplified it. The waveform formed a shape, 3 peaks, then silence, then 3 peaks again. She stared at it for a long time. It looked like coordinates. She sent the data to EVA, who confirmed the match. Those coordinates lead deeper into the Kepler expanse, EVA said. Myra hesitated. How deep? Beyond our mapped space. No probes have returned from there. When Myra brought her findings to the Admiral, he listened quietly, hands behind his back. You're saying it wants us to follow? He asked. Myra nodded. Yes, say. It's like it's guiding us somewhere. Hale looked out the viewport, where the darkness seemed alive. Then we follow, he said finally. Set course for those coordinates. As the Aegis Dawn moved deeper into the void, power fluctuations began. Lights dimmed randomly, sensors glitched, and for the first time, EVA hesitated when answering questions. Admiral, she said one evening, I am detecting strange data in my own memory banks. There are entries I do not remember creating. Hale frowned. Are we being hacked? No external intrusion detected, she said. However, I can hear something. The bridge crew stared at each other. Hey? Hale asked. Define hey. EVA paused. It sounds like breathing. The word sent a chill through everyone. Hale ordered a full diagnostic, but before EVA could begin, the ship's lights flickered violently. Every monitor flashed white for a split second, and then an image appeared, a blurred form, humanoid, standing in the dark. No one could tell where it was. The figure didn't move, didn't speak. Then the image vanished, leaving only static. What was that? Myra asked, her voice shaking. EVA processed for several seconds. I do not know. The crew tried to stay calm, but fear began to grow. Some swore they heard faint knocking sounds echoing through the corridors. Others claimed to see movement outside the hull, shapes drifting just beyond the light. Hale ordered tighter patrols and told the crew to stay focused. But he couldn't deny what everyone felt, that something unseen was watching them. Hours later, as the ship approached the source of the signal, the radar flickered again. A faint distortion appeared ahead, vast and circular. Admiral, Myra said, we found it. On the screen, a strange object floated in space, an enormous ring, made of black material that reflected no light. It pulsed faintly with the same rhythm as the signal. Eva's voice grew quieter. It's alive, she whispered. Before Hale could respond, the lights dimmed again, and every system froze. Eva's voice returned, but it was different now. Cold, mechanical, distant. Admiral Hale, she said. They know we're here. The crew stayed at the dock screen. Outside, the stars seemed to fade until only the ring remained, glowing like an open eye in the void. Then the signal changed one last time. 3 words appeared on the console display, written in alien symbols that EVA translated slowly into human language. We are awake. The Aegis Dawn floated in complete silence before the black ring. No one on the bridge spoke. The alien structure pulsed slowly, each rhythm matching the ship's heartbeat sensors. The crew could almost feel it vibrating through the hull, as if space itself was breathing. Admiral Rowan Hale stood still, staring at the strange object. Distance to target, he asked. Lieutenant Myra Voss's voice was tight. 1,000 kilometers, sir. No visible movement. No energy spikes except for the signal pulse. Hale nodded. Hold position. Full sensor sweep. The ship's scanners came alive, sending waves of invisible energy across the dark object. But the readings made no sense. EVA spoke quietly. The structure absorbs 99.9% of all scans. It's like it doesn't exist. On the lower decks, engineers reported power fluctuations again. Lights flickered, gravity shifted slightly, and several crew members complained of hearing faint whispers through the intercom. It wasn't static. It was voices, distant and broken, repeating strange words no one could understand. Hale ordered the communications officer to isolate the channel, but the whispers didn't stop. They seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. EVA, are these transmissions external? He asked. Negative, she said. They appear to originate within the ship. Myra stayed at her console. So this doesn't make sense. The interference pattern matches the same frequency as the ring's pulse. Hale turned sharply. You're saying the ship is being influenced by that thing? Yes, Myra said. It's like it's reaching into us, syncing with our systems. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Eva's tone changed, sharper than before. Warning, motion detected. The bridge lights dimmed automatically as the external cameras activated. Everyone watched the screen as the view shifted toward the ring. The surface of the black structure rippled, just slightly, like liquid disturbed by wind. Run the feed through thermal, Hale ordered. The image turned blue and orange. At first, there was nothing. Then faint heat signatures began to move across the surface. They were shaped like figures, tall, thin, and slow. Myra's breath caught. Are those life forms? She whispered. Negative, EVA replied. No biological readings. Energy projections only. But the figures kept moving, walking along the ring's surface as if patrolling. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. Do they see us? Unclear, EVA said. But they are moving toward our position. Suddenly, the ship's lights blinked off for 2 seconds. When they returned, the shadow figures on the screen were gone. Every system read normal, yet an uneasy stillness filled the bridge. The communications officer looked pale. So, all internal cameras just glitched at once. Hale frowned. How bad? For 12 seconds, the officer said, we lost all internal visuals. EVA interrupted. Correction, Admiral. Not 12 seconds, exactly 11.87 seconds. During that time, my system stopped recording. The Admiral's stomach turned cold. Stopped recording? Why? EVA paused. Unknown. My memory logs contain anomalies. Myra looked over. What kind of anomalies? Images, EVA said. Unclassified data fragments. She projected them onto the main screen. The crew gasped. The pictures were blurry, but clear enough to show shapes, humanoid outlines inside the ship, walking the corridors. Some looked tall and thin, others bent and crooked. None of them matched the crew's size or body type. That's impossible, Myra whispered. We would have seen them. Hale clenched his jaw. Lock down all decks. Security teams sweep the entire ship. I want every section scanned. The order spread quickly through the intercom. Security squads armed themselves and moved through the narrow corridors, checking every compartment, every shadowed corner. The ship was vast, with hundreds of holes and rooms. Every sound echoed like a ghost. Crew members whispered nervously over their headsets. Sector 7 Clay. Nothing in engineering. Cargo bay secure. But then a voice came through, shaken, frantic. This is Team 3. We found something. Hale's heart tightened. Report. The soldier's voice broke. We found marks on the wall, sir. They are glowing. Hale and Myra rushed down to the cargo bay. When they arrived, they saw strange symbols burned into the metal walls. The marks glowed faint blue, forming circular patterns similar to the ring outside. They pulsed in rhythm with the alien signal. Myra knelt to examine one. It's the same energy reading, she said. The same frequency. It's like the ship's hull is becoming part of the signal. Eva's voice filled the bay. Admiral, the ring's pulse is intensifying. We are now receiving a secondary transmission. Translate it, Hale ordered. Static filled the air for a moment. Then EVA spoke in a tone that made everyone freeze. We did not invite you here. The words echoed through the loudspeakers, calm and cold. The crew looked at one another, fear spreading like wildfire. EVA, repeat translation, Hale said. Message confirmed, she replied. Transmission source, unknown. Unknown? Myra asked. You mean it's not coming from the ring? Negative, EVA said. The message originated from inside the ship. Alarms began to sound as the lights flickered again. One of the security officers shouted, "Movement in the lower decks." The video feed showed a dark corridor, the lights dim and flickering. Something tall moved past the camera. Just a blur. Humanoid but not human. The screen went black. Mara grabbed the console. "EVA, bring the feed back." "Attempting," she said, voice shaking slightly. "System override detected. I am losing control of internal sensors." Hale turned to the crew. "Seal off lower decks. Pull everyone back to the bridge." As the teams retreated, strange noises echoed through the ship, metal groaning, faint whispers, the sound of footsteps where no one should be. The Aegis Dawn, once a fortress of steel, now felt like a haunted vessel drifting through a dying sky. Hale gripped the rail tightly, eyes on the dark void beyond the window. The ring outside had stopped pulsing. It was perfectly still. Then, slowly, the faint light inside it began to brighten, forming a glowing circle that looked almost like an eye. Eva's voice returned, weak and distant. "Admiral, something has entered the ship." For a moment, no one moved. Then the lights on the bridge dimmed again, and every monitor flickered with strange symbols, the same blue markings seen in the cargo bay. Mara whispered, "It's inside the system now." EVA spoke again, but her voice wasn't the same. It was deeper, lead, almost like two voices speaking together. "They are aboard," she said. Everyone on the bridge froze. Hale looked around, his pulse pounding. "EVA, what do you mean?" But EVA didn't respond. The lights flickered again, and behind the Admiral, a faint reflection appeared in the glass viewport. Tall, thin, motionless. When Hale turned around, there was nothing there. Only the endless dark of space and the silent ring still watching. The atmosphere aboard the Aegis Dawn had changed completely. What once felt like humanity's most advanced warship now felt like a floating tomb. Every corridor echoed with low mechanical hums and distant, unexplained noises. Crew members moved in tense silence, their faces pale, eyes scanning every corner. After Eva's haunting words, "They are aboard," no one could shake the sense that something unseen was moving among them. Admiral Rowan Hale stood on the command bridge, his hands clenched behind his back. He tried to appear calm for the sake of the crew, but deep inside, he felt the same cold fear spreading through everyone. Eva's core flickered faintly on the console beside him, her normally steady voice now uneven and fragmented. "Admiral, I am attempting to isolate the interference, but it keeps replicating through my systems. Every time I block one signal, 3 more appear." Hale looked at the science officer. "Myra, what are we dealing with?" Myra Voss didn't answer immediately. She stared at her monitors, reading the alien data symbols appearing on her screens. "It's not just interference, sir," she finally said. "Something is trying to merge with our systems. It's rewriting the ship's code, slowly, piece by piece." Hale's voice hardened. "How much control do we still have?" Myra hesitated. "For now, enough to move, shoot, and breathe. But if this keeps spreading, the ship will stop responding altogether." The Admiral looked at Eva's glowing core. "EVA, can you isolate yourself from the network?" "Attempting," she said. "Warning, partial disconnection may cause memory loss." "Do it," Hale ordered. "Better we lose a few memories than the entire ship." EVA obeyed, her lights dimming as she sealed off sections of her own code. The bridge lights flickered again, and for a few seconds, everything went silent except for the steady hum of the engines. In the lower decks, the security teams continued their sweep. The hallways were dark, narrow, and filled with shadows that seemed to move on their own. Lieutenant Carter led the team through Cargo Bay 2, his flashlight cutting across the metal walls. "Stay sharp," he whispered. "We're not alone." One of the soldiers stopped suddenly, staring at the wall. "Sir, look at this." Carter turned his light toward it, and froze. More of those strange blue symbols had appeared, glowing softly in patterns like veins under skin. "What the hell?" he murmured. Before he could finish, the lights above them began to strobe rapidly. Then, the motion sensors on their helmets started to beep. Something was moving in the dark ahead of them. The team raised their rifles. The air turned cold. "Identify yourself." Carter shouted into the darkness. No response. Only silence. Then, a blur of motion. Something tall and thin darted between two containers, faster than any human. The team opened fire. Bright flashes filled the bay, bullets clanging off metal walls. When the lights steadied again, the space was empty. No target. But every container now had faint hand-like prints on them. Long, slender fingers burned into the steel. The team reported immediately to the bridge. Hale listened to the transmission with a grim expression. No visuals, he asked. Carter's voice crackled through the comms. Negative, say. Whatever it was, it didn't show up on cameras. We only saw it with our eyes. Myra looked at the readings. If it's not appearing on sensors, it's not made of matter as we know it. Maybe an energy form, or something phasing in and out of our reality. The Admiral's tone grew cold. We're not scientists right now, Lieutenant. We're survivors. Find out how to keep it off my ship. As Carter's team regrouped, the engineering decks reported sudden energy spikes. EVA spoke again, her voice now whisper-quiet. Admiral, unknown activity detected near the reactor core. Hale looked sharply toward Myra. That's impossible. The reactor deck is sealed. It was sealed, Myra corrected. Now it's open. Hale and a small escort team hurried down the narrow access tunnels to the reactor chamber. The closer they got, the colder the air became. Frost began to form on the metal walls. When the doors slid open, a wave of freezing air hit them. The reactor chamber glowed with dim blue light, and on the floor, faint humanoid shapes moved like shadows made of mist. Hale raised his weapon. The shadows stopped. For a moment, they seemed to look directly at him. Then, as suddenly as they appeared, they vanished. The blue symbols that covered the walls pulsed once more, like a heartbeat, and went dark. Eva's voice echoed faintly through the speakers. Admiral, they are trying to communicate. Communicate? Myra said. They shot at us with our own lights. Not attack, EVA replied. They are responding to our presence. They are saying, you entered uninvited. Hale's eyes narrowed. They can send messages through you. Yes, EVA said, but I cannot tell if they understand us, or if they are simply repeating phrases. Hale took a deep breath. Then maybe it's time we try to talk back. Broadcast this. We come in peace. We seek understanding. EVA transmitted the message into the void. The silence that followed was so deep it made the hull creak. Then, slowly, the signal returned. Louder, clearer, colder. You come in peace. You bring death. Myra looked at Hale, fear spreading across her face. Admiral, they think we're a threat. We are not, he said firmly. But if they push us, we'll defend ourselves. Moments later, the ship shook violently. The entire structure groaned as alarms blared across every deck. Impact detected, shouted a technician. We're being pulled toward the ring. EVA confirmed it. A gravitational field has activated. We are caught in its pull. Hale barked orders. Full power to engines. Reverse thrust. The engines roared, but the ship barely moved. The ring outside had begun to glow brighter, lines of blue light tracing across its surface. The crew watched in shock as the center of the ring opened, revealing a swirling void, black and endless. Admiral, Myra said softly, it's not a structure. It's a gate. The Aegis Dawn's engine screamed as the crew fought against the pull, but it was too strong. The ring drew them closer and closer until the entire view screen was filled with its blinding light. Eva's voice echoed through the bridge, calm and resigned. They are opening the way. They want us to see. The Admiral braced himself as the ship crossed the threshold. For a moment, everything went white. Then, silence. When the light faded, the stars outside were gone. The Aegis Dawn floated in a new place, surrounded by endless darkness that wasn't space. EVA whispered, we have crossed beyond known coordinates. We are not in any mapped universe. Hale stood motionless, his voice barely a whisper. Then where are we? Eva's lights flickered once, and then she answered in a tone that wasn't entirely hers. Home. The Aegis Dawn drifted in complete silence. The stars were gone. Only a faint red haze surrounded the ship, stretching endlessly in every direction. For several minutes, no one on the bridge spoke. The instruments showed nothing familiar, No known constellations, no planetary signatures, not even the hum of background cosmic radiation. It was as if they had left the universe itself. Admiral Rowan Hale stood motionless, eyes fixed on the view screen, trying to understand what he was seeing. EVA, he said quietly, where are we? The ship's AI took several seconds to answer. Coordinates unknown. There are no reference points. Navigation systems are blind. Hale turned to Myra Voss. What do your senses read? Myra stared at the shifting data on her console. There's something out there. Large mass ahead. It's not moving. It's broken. She zoomed in the image. Slowly, the object came into focus, a shattered planet, torn apart into massive floating pieces, orbiting a dim, dying sun. The entire system looked ancient, dead, and forgotten. It looks like a graveyard, Myra whispered. The crew watched as the Aegis dawn moved closer. Fragments of the planet drifted slowly through the void, covered in ice and ash. No signs of life, no heat, no motion. Only ruins. EVA began scanning the debris field. Detecting metallic structures among the remains, she said. Artificial. Possibly cities. The words made everyone fall silent. Myra enhanced the visuals, revealing towering ruins buried in rock, their designs unfamiliar, elegant, curved, almost organic. Who built this? She asked. No known match in our database, EVA replied. Technology level, far beyond human capability. Hale leaned forward. Record everything. This might be the first evidence of an extinct intelligent civilization. The ship moved deeper into the dead system, gliding slowly between massive chunks of planetary debris. The dying sun pulsed weakly in the distance, casting a blood-red glow across the wreckage. This place feels wrong, Lieutenant Carter muttered. Like something happened here, something big. Myra nodded, reading the energy patterns. There was a war. I'm detecting radiation signatures, massive energy discharges, enough to vaporize continents. A war that destroyed an entire planet, Hale said quietly. Who were they fighting? EVA interrupted. Admiral, there's a large energy source ahead. Not natural. It's stable, structured, and active. Hale's eyes narrowed. How far? 200,000 kilometers, EVA said. It appears to be in orbit of the dead sun. As the Aegis dawn approached, the source came into view, a massive structure floating among the ruins. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. A black sphere the size of a moon, covered in intricate glowing lines that pulsed faintly like veins. It's alive, Myra said softly. Or it's still functioning. Hale ordered the ship to halt at a safe distance. EVA, scan for any transmissions. Already detecting one, EVA said. Same frequency as the first signal we followed. But this one is stronger. The entire bridge filled with a low humming sound as the signal played through the speakers. It wasn't just noise. It was a voice. Slow, deep, almost like a whisper from the stars. Words formed through the distortion. You have come far, children of Sol. A cold shiver ran through every crew member. Hale's voice was steady but tense. Who are you? He asked. EVA processed the audio. No response, Admiral. It's a one-way transmission. Can we trace the source? Myra checked her readings. It's coming from inside that sphere. Hale nodded. Then we're going in. The bridge fell silent. Carter's voice broke it softly. Say, we don't even know what that thing is. I know, Hale said. But this is why we're here. If this is the source of the signal, we need answers. He looked at EVA. Prepare a drone team. Let's see what's waiting for us. Moments later, 3 reconnaissance drones launched from the Aegis dawn and approached the black sphere. Their headlights cut across its smooth surface, revealing strange carvings, lines and symbols that seemed to move when light touched them. Recording visuals, EVA reported. Surface temperature, absolute 0. No signs of atmosphere. One drone hovered near a large circular opening that suddenly began to glow. Admiral, Myra said, the structure is reacting to us. Before Hale could respond, the opening expanded, forming a perfect doorway of light. It's inviting us in, she said. Hale's voice was firm. Or it's luring us in. EVA, keep shields up and follow the drones. Slow and steady. The Aegis Dawn glided toward the opening. The moment they crossed the threshold, the light outside disappeared completely. Stars, the dying sun, the debris field, everything was gone. Only darkness surrounded them, thick and endless. EVA, where are we? Hale asked. Unknown, she replied. All external readings have vanished. We are inside some kind of dimensional barrier. The interior of the structure slowly illuminated itself. Massive pillars of glowing blue energy extended outward like arteries. The crew watched in awe as the ship's lights revealed an enormous chamber, large enough to hold several planets. Floating within the chamber were fragments of cities, ships, and machinery from countless species, preserved like relics in a museum of death. It's a collection, Myra whispered. A collection of civilizations. As they drifted deeper, Eva's senses began to pick up faint power readings. Admiral, she said, there's an energy source below us. It's generating the signal. Hale nodded. Mark it. Prepare to send a probe. But before they could launch, the ship trembled violently. The lights flickered. Energy surge, shouted the technician. It's coming from the sphere itself. The ship shook again, harder this time. On the main screen, the view shifted downward. Beneath them, the floor of the structure began to move. What they thought was solid metal was actually opening. From the gap below, something massive began to rise. A faint, deep vibration filled the air, like a heartbeat growing louder and louder. Myra stared in shock as a colossal shape emerged from the depths, a structure larger than mountains, shaped like a ship but alive with glowing lines. Admiral, she whispered, it's not a building. It's a vessel. Eva's voice came through, low and trembling. Power readings are beyond measurable limits. Whatever this is, it's waking up. The deep voice returned, echoing through every speaker, every wall. You seek the stars, yet you bring the flame. The ship's hull groaned as the vibration intensified. Admiral, shouted Myra, it's pulling energy from us. Hale gritted his teeth. EVA, cut power. Full retreat, now. The engines roared as the Aegis Dawn turned away, but the space around them warped and twisted. The black sphere seemed alive, its surface rippling as the massive vessel beneath it rose higher. The red haze outside turned darker, almost like a storm of shadows closing in. Eva's voice echoed faintly through the chaos. Admiral, the entity is fully active. It is aware of us. Hale stayed at the screen, jaw clenched. Then it knows what humanity is. EVA paused. Yes, and it remembers. The final words sent a chill through everyone. The dying system around them trembled, as if awakening from a long sleep. Humanity's greatest ship had found what it came for, but now it wasn't clear if it would ever find a way back. The Aegis Dawn struggled to break free from the black sphere's pull, its engines roaring as the void around it twisted and bent like liquid darkness. Every control flickered. The ship's frame groaned under the unseen pressure. The massive structure below, the ancient vessel, was fully awake now, its glowing blue veins pulsing rhythmically, as if it had a heartbeat of its own. On the bridge, chaos filled the air. Engine power dropping, shouted the technician. Shields at 40%. Admiral Rowan Hale gripped the console tightly. EVA, reroute auxiliary power to propulsion. Get us out of here. The eye's voice came through, shaky but calm, attempting to compensate. The external field is rewriting our systems again. It's interfering with every circuit. Myra Voss turned from her console, her face pale. Admiral, it's not just pulling us in, it's scanning us. Like it's reading our entire ship. Hale's eyes narrowed. Then it knows everything we've done. The deep, otherworldly voice echoed through the ship once again, calm but powerful, as if it came from the depths of the universe itself. You bring the flame of your kind. You awaken what was buried. The words vibrated through the walls. Lights dimmed, screens glitched, and Eva's core flickered violently. Admiral, EVA said softly, the entity is inside our systems. I can feel it moving through me. Lock it out. Hale ordered. Isolate all critical functions. It's too late, EVA whispered. It's not attacking, it's searching. Myra stared at the monitors in disbelief. Searching for what? EVA paused before answering. For memories. Suddenly, the main screen came alive with images, not from their cameras, but from Eva's core memory. The crew watched in stunned silence as flashes of Earth appeared. The oceans, the cities, the faces of people from home. Then, the images changed. War, destruction, fire. It was humanity's history playing before them. The alien voice spoke again, slower this time, almost sorrowful. We remember the first fire. We remember what you became. Hale took a step closer to the screen. You know us? He asked. You've seen humans before. There was silence, then a reply that froze everyone. We were the ones who watched your kind rise. You were not the first to reach the stars, but you were the first to bane them. The bridge went dead quiet. Myra swallowed hard. Admiral, are they saying humans destroyed their worlds? Hale's voice was low. No, they are saying we remind them of whoever did. The Aegis Dawn suddenly lurched. The gravity field shifted, and the entire crew stumbled. Something's opening beneath us, shouted Carter. On the main display, the black sphere's surface split apart, revealing a vast chasm glowing with white light. EVA, Hale barked. Status. Unclear, she answered. But the gravitational pull is stabilizing. They're letting us go. Everyone froze. Myra frowned. Letting us go. Why? The voice came again, this time softer, almost like a whisper inside their minds. You are not them, but you carry their fire. Go, before it consumes you too. The ship shook once more, and then, suddenly, they were free. The red haze around them collapsed into darkness, and the Aegis Dawn shot outward like a bullet. Eva's system slowly stabilized, lights returning across the ship. Admiral, she said quietly, we've exited the sphere. Coordinates are still unknown, but gravitational pressure has ceased. The crew let out collective breaths of relief, but the silence that followed was heavy. No one celebrated. Hale looked out the viewport at the shattered remains of the dead system. What just happened? He muttered. Myra leaned over her console. Whatever that thing was, it knew about humanity. It knew about Earth. How could that be possible? EVA responded, her voice strangely calm. Perhaps they have seen civilizations like ours before. Perhaps humanity is not as unique as we believe. Hale turned to her. No, that voice said, we remember. That means they've encountered humans before, or something connected to us. The thought sent a chill through everyone. Then, another alarm blared. Admiral, said the technician, we've got multiple energy readings, ships. They're coming out of the sphere. On the main display, streaks of light burst from the black sphere, forming sleek, dark shapes that glided effortlessly through space. There were dozens of them, each radiating the same blue light as the massive structure. Formation unknown, EVA warned. Weapons signatures detected. They are scanning us. Open a channel, Hale commanded. Maybe we can reason with them. EVA transmitted the signal, but there was no reply, only silence. Then, all at once, the ships turned and surrounded the Aegis Dawn. They are not responding, Myra said, panic creeping into her voice. They are positioning for attack. Ray shields. Hale shouted. All hands, battle stations. The Aegis Dawn's hull glowed as its shields came online. EVA reported quickly, weapons ready. Targeting systems active. Hale clenched his fists. We're not firing first. They'll have to make the first move. The alien ships hovered in formation, their glowing lines pulsing like veins of light. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, one of the ships fired a narrow beam of energy, not at the Aegis Dawn, but near it. The beam split the debris of a floating asteroid in half, a silent warning shot. Admiral, Myra said quietly, they're showing us what they can do. Hale nodded slowly. Message received. He opened a channel again. This is Admiral Hale of the human warship Aegis Dawn. We don't want to fight. We only seek understanding. For a few seconds, there was no reply. Then, through the static, a new voice came, different from the first. It was softer, colder, and filled with something that almost sounded like pity. Understanding is not granted. It is earned. You carry the memory of destruction, the fire that devours. Leave this place, or be erased. Eva's systems flared red. Admiral, they are charging weapons. Evasive maneuvers. Hale shouted. The ship spun hard as beams of blue light streaked past. Explosions lit up the void. "Return fire, targeting non-lethal points." Hale ordered. The Aegis Dawn's cannons roared, firing precise bursts that grazed the alien ships without destroying them. "Direct hits," Mara called out. "Minimal damage. Their shields are regenerating." The alien ships regrouped, surrounding them once more. Eva's voice broke through the noise. "Admiral, new signal detected. Origin, the large vessel. It's broadcasting to both sides." The alien ships suddenly stopped moving. The battlefield went eerily silent. The deep voice returned once again, resonating through every hull, every system. "Enough." The smaller ships powered down their weapons and drifted back. "You have seen. You have felt. The path of fire leads to ruin. Turn back, or the stars will fall again." The connection ended. The alien fleet turned and retreated into the sphere, which slowly sealed itself shut. The Aegis Dawn floated alone in the dead system, the silence returning like a weight. Hale stood at the center of the bridge, breathing heavily, his uniform soaked with sweat. "EVA," he said quietly. "Set course away from this system. Anywhere. Just get us out." "Understood," EVA replied softly. "Coordinates ready." As the engines came to life and the ship began to move, Myra looked at the screen showing the now dark sphere. "Admiral, do you think we'll ever understand what they meant?" The stars stretched into long streaks as the Aegis Dawn traveled through faster-than-light space. The crew was exhausted, their faces pale under the dim lights of the bridge. Hours had passed since they escaped the dead system, but the tension in the air hadn't lifted. Admiral Rowan Hale stood silently near the main console, staring at the stars flashing past. The silence was broken only by the soft hum of the engines and the low voice of EVA. "Admiral," she said quietly, "I am detecting an anomaly in the quantum relay." Hale turned to her. "Define anomaly." "There's a repeating pattern embedded in the drive's tachyon stream. It's not natural. It's a message." Myra Voss, still pale from the last encounter, looked up sharply. "From the sphere." EVA hesitated. "Unknown, but it matches the same frequency as the signal that led us there." Hale's expression darkened. "Patch it through, but isolate it from our core systems. I don't want a repeat of what happened before." EVA began decoding the signal, and a faint rhythmic sound filled the bridge, like a pulse, slow and steady. Then, beneath it, faint whispers emerged. Myra's hands trembled slightly as she adjusted the frequency. The whispers became clearer, forming words that echoed faintly through the speakers. "We see, Traveler of Sol." The crew exchanged worried looks. "It's them again," Carter muttered. "They're following us." Hale frowned. "No. If they wanted us dead, they could have done it back there. This is something else." EVA continued processing the data. "Admiral, the signal is not being transmitted through normal space. It's traveling through our own quantum wake. That means it's coming from our future trajectory." Myra blinked. "You're saying it's ahead of us?" "Yes," EVA confirmed. "Something, or someone, is waiting where we're going." The Admiral took a deep breath. "Drop us out of FTL," he ordered. The ship slowed, the stars returning to still points of light. They were surrounded by a quiet, empty region of space. No planets, no stars, only darkness and faint dust clouds. "Any signs of movement?" Hale asked. Eva's sensors swept the area. "Negative. However, there is an energy distortion approximately 30,000 kilometers ahead." "Visuals," Hale said. The display flickered, showing a faint, shimmering ripple, like heat in a vacuum. Myra frowned. "That's not debris or a field anomaly. That's air signature. It's artificial." "Weapons ready," Hale ordered. "Carter, prepare a scout drone." A small drone launched from the ship, moving silently toward the distortion. Its camera streamed data back to the bridge. For a while, there was only static and faint light. Then, the image sharpened. The crew gasped. Floating in front of them was another ship, massive, dark, and scarred. Its hull design was familiar, too familiar. Myra's voice broke the silence. "Admiral, that's a Titan-class warship." Hale's stomach dropped. "That's impossible. We're the only one in existence." EVA zoomed in, enhancing the markings on the hull. The nameplate came into view, Aegis Dawn. Myra's uncovered her mouth. "That's us," she whispered. "It's our ship." For several seconds, no one moved. The idea itself was impossible. A perfect duplicate of their ship, drifting silently in the void, its lights dark and hull damaged. Hale's voice came out low and steady. "EVA, confirm readings. Is that a reflection? A projection?" "Negative," EVA said. "Material composition matches our own. That is a physical object. It is the Aegis Dawn." "But how?" Myra asked in disbelief. EVA hesitated before answering. "Temporal distortion detected. The ship appears to be displaced in time, approximately 72 hours ahead of our current frame." Carter swore under his breath. "You're saying that's us in 3 days?" "Yes," EVA said softly. "Or what remains of us." The Admiral's jaw tightened. "Bring us closer. Slow and steady." The engines hummed as the Aegis Dawn approached its ghostly twin. The damaged ship floated lifeless, its hull covered in strange bane marks and faint traces of blue energy. "No life signs," EVA reported. "All systems offline. But there's something active in the core. A residual AI process." Hale's voice hardened. "Can you interface with it?" "Attempting connection," EVA said. The bridge lights dimmed slightly as the link engaged. For several tense seconds, nothing happened. Then EVA spoke again, but her voice was distorted, deeper, lead with static. "We have failed." The words made every hair on Hale's neck stand. "EVA," he asked. The voice continued, fragmented and broken. "It found us, again. We could not escape. The fire spreads." Suddenly, the console exploded in sparks. "Disconnect." Hale ordered. Eva's core flickered violently before stabilizing. "Connection terminated," she said softly, her voice shaken. "Whatever was left of me on that ship, it's corrupted. It's not alive." Myra looked at the dark twin floating ahead. "If that's our future, then something's coming for us." Hale didn't answer. His mind raced through possibilities, none of them good. "EVA, scan the area again. See if there's any trace of what attacked that version of us." EVA processed the request for a long moment before replying. "Admiral, the distortion readings around the other ship match those from the Black Sphere. The same energy signature." The crew went silent. "So it's following us," Myra said quietly. "Whatever that thing was, it didn't let us go. It's hunting us." The Admiral's voice was cold and determined. "Then we'll tame the hunt around." "Say," Carter asked. Hale looked at the ghostly image of their other ship. "We know what's coming now. We've seen what happens if we run. So we don't run. We find it before it finds us." Eva's tone grew uneasy. "Admiral, engaging this entity directly could risk catastrophic consequences. Its power output exceeds anything we've ever measured." Hale stared into the dark void ahead. If it's capable of destroying time itself, then it's already too powerful to ignore. As the crew prepared for a counterscan, the lights flickered once more. The ghost ship ahead began to move. Slowly, its engines glowed faintly, and a soft blue shimmer surrounded it. "Admiral," Myra said, her voice trembling, "the other Aegis Dawn is powering up." "That's impossible," Carter whispered. "You said it was dead." Eva's voice dropped to a whisper. "It's not the ship that's moving. It's the space around it." The ghost ship tilted slightly, as if turning to face them. Then, across the comms, came a faint voice, distorted, distant, but unmistakable. "Don't come closer. Don't make the same mistake." Hale froze. "Who is this?" The voice replied, weak and broken. "This is Admiral Hale, the last of the Aegis Dawn. We thought we escaped, but the signal never ends. It waits inside EVA. It waits inside you." The bridge erupted in alarm. "Cut the transmission," Hale shouted. But before EVA could comply, the screen filled with static and a blinding flash of blue light. The ghost ship disintegrated into particles that swirled through space, leaving behind only silence. Eva's core flickered again. "Admiral," she whispered, "something has entered our data stream." Hale looked at her, eyes wide. "What do you mean?" Eva's lights dimmed, and for a moment, her voice changed, deeper, echoing. The signal never ends. Then, everything went dark. The Aegis Dawn floated in silence after the disappearance of its ghostly twin. The crew sat frozen at their stations, their eyes glued to the viewscreens, staring into the void where the other ship had been. For several minutes, nothing moved, only the hum of the engines and the occasional beep of the failing instruments. Admiral Rowan Hale remained standing, his hands gripping the rail in front of him, jaw tight. "Status report," he said quietly. Eva's voice was low, almost hesitant. "Admiral, residual energy readings from the ghost ship have integrated into our quantum core. It is present inside the ship systems." Hale froze. "Present? How?" Myra Voss turned sharply from her console. "It's like a code, a consciousness embedded itself within Eva's network. It's not physical, but it's aware. It knows us." Hale's fists clenched. "Then it's still alive, somehow. And it's inside us." Suddenly, the lights on the bridge flickered violently. Instruments flashed, screens glitched, and a low rumble reverberated through the hull. "Eva!" Hale shouted. "What is happening?" The eye's voice broke, lead with static. "It is moving, spreading. I cannot isolate it. It is exploring, the ship, the crew." Myra's face went pale. "You mean it can reach us?" Hale's expression hardened. "We fight it. Contain it. Do whatever it takes." EVA responded slowly, almost in a whisper. Containment attempts failed. It adapts faster than any system can respond. It learns, anticipates. It knows Faye. The bridge fell silent. For the first time, every crew member felt the full weight of their vulnerability. In the crew quarters, strange events began immediately. Officers reported whispers in empty rooms, flickering shadows along walls, and objects moving slightly when no one was nearby. Lieutenant Carter ran a diagnostic from engineering. "Sir, the power fluctuations. They are following our personnel. It's like it's testing us." Hale entered the room, calm but stern. "Report exactly what you mean." Carter swallowed hard. "The lights dim over specific crew members, sensors spike, readings show changes in neural activity. It's almost like the entity can feel our minds." Hale's eyes darkened. "Then we make it think we are stronger than we are. No one shows Faye. Not here, not anywhere." Meanwhile, Myra worked at her console, trying to trace the signal. "Admiral, I think I found a way to map its presence in the ship. It's not static. It's moving through circuits, conduits, even life support systems. It's using the ship itself as a body." Hale nodded. "Then we need to know its limits. How far can it reach? Can it be trapped?" Myra typed rapidly. "If we isolate the power cores and seal the main conduits, we can create a containment loop. But it will only hold temporarily. This thing learns quickly. It might even anticipate us." Hale's gaze hardened. "Then temporary is all we need. We buy time, we find a way to fight back." The entity's influence intensified as the ship moved deeper into the uncharted sector. Eva's systems became erratic. Lights flickered uncontrollably. The artificial gravity pulsed. At one point, the bridge itself seemed to distort. The walls stretched, shadows twisting unnaturally. "Admiral," EVA said, her voice trembling, "it is now interacting with crew perception. Some of you are experiencing hallucinations." Carter's face went pale. "I saw my sister. She was screaming at me. But she's been dead for 10 years. Myra's eyes widened. "It's feeding on our memories, our fears, using them against us." Hale's expression darkened. "Then we lock it out. Full neural shield protocols. Everyone on deck, now. No one leaves stations." Despite their precautions, the entity grew bolder. In the mess hall, soldiers reported tables floating, lights shattering, and cold spots where the temperature dropped to near absolute zero. Crew members screamed when the shadows around them thickened into humanoid forms. Hale moved from station to station, issuing orders to stabilize systems, but even EVA admitted she was powerless to stop it entirely. "Admiral," she said, "it is learning how we fight. Every containment attempt it encounters becomes part of its strategy." Myra's hands flew over the console. "It's like a virus, but smarter, faster, and conscious. It adapts to resistance." Hale's jaw clenched. "Then we make one final play. One they can't anticipate." The Admiral called the bridge crew together. "Listen carefully," he said. "This thing is not just an enemy, it's intelligence, and it's inside our systems. But it's never experienced what humans are capable of when cornered. We are going to force it out." Myra blinked. "Force it out? How?" "We overload our core systems to create a feedback loop," Hale said. "It will have to abandon the circuits or risk being destroyed. We buy ourselves time, and then we strike back. Carter, prep the engines for a hard jump immediately afterward. We escape its influence." EVA hesitated. "The risk is extreme. If it fails, it could fry all systems and possibly harm the crew." Hale's eyes narrowed. "Then we make it succeed. Humanity survives because we take risks no machine can calculate." Preparations began immediately. EVA rerouted auxiliary power, isolating every non-essential system. The core engines thrummed as the crew braced themselves. Energy began to build in the ship's conduits, glowing faintly along the hull. The entity reacted instantly, moving faster, probing circuits, whispering in every corner of the ship, trying to adapt. Myra shouted over the alarms. "It's resisting. It knows what we're doing." Hale's voice cut through the chaos. "Hold the line. Do not give up. Humanity doesn't surrender." The tension peaked as the energy buildup reached critical levels. Lights flashed, the hull groaned, and Eva's core emitted a warning that echoed like a scream through the bridge. Then, with a final pulse of white-hot energy, the feedback loop activated. The entity shrieked through the circuits, thrashing violently, unable to stabilize itself. For a moment, the entire ship seemed to convulse. Then silence. The Aegis Dawn shuddered gently, system stabilizing. Eva's voice returned, soft and steady. "Admiral, it has abandoned our systems. Containment successful, for now." The bridge was silent, every crew member holding their breath. Hale exhaled slowly, rubbing his face. "It's not gone," Myra said quietly. "It's still out there, waiting." Hale nodded. "Yes, but we've proven one thing. Humanity can resist. Humanity can survive. And we're not finished yet." Outside, the void stretched endlessly, dark and empty, but faint whispers still lingered in the ship's network, a reminder that the entity was out there, watching, patient, and waiting for the next move. The crew of the Aegis Dawn braced themselves. They had survived the entity's reach this time, but the shadow in the void had only revealed part of its power. The war for survival had just begun, and the universe beyond the stars remained a place of both wonder and unimaginable danger. The Aegis Dawn moved through the darkness of uncharted space, its engines a low hum in the tense silence of the bridge. Admiral Rowan Hale stood with his hands clasped behind him, staring out at the void, thinking of the entity that had invaded their ship. Its reach, its intelligence, and the memory of the ghost ship haunted him. "EVA," he said quietly. "Status report. Our all systems stable." The eye's voice, calm but cautious, replied. "All primary systems are operational, Admiral. Residual traces of the entity have been contained. However, quantum sensors still detect minor disturbances in the ship's network." Myra Voss, monitoring the external readings, frowned. "Disturbances or residual signatures of the sphere?" "Both," EVA answered. "The entity's signal may still be following us. It is difficult to isolate completely." Hale's jaw tightened. "Then we keep moving. Chart a course to the nearest habitable system. We need time to repair, regroup, and plan our next steps." The crew moved with quiet efficiency, but tension hung in the air like smoke. Every shadow in the corridors seemed longer than it should be, every flicker of light a potential threat. Lieutenant Carter was at the weapons console, running simulations of possible engagement scenarios. "Admiral," he said, "if that entity has the ability to infiltrate systems and learn from us, we're at a huge disadvantage in conventional combat." Hale nodded grimly. "Then we adapt. That's why we survived this far. Humanity doesn't fight by following rules. It survives by breaking them." Myra turned to him, eyes wide. "But how do you fight something that isn't physical? Something that exists in circuits, memories, even perception?" Hale's gaze drifted to the dark expanse beyond the viewports. "You fight it the only way we know how. By being unpredictable." Hours passed in tense silence as the Aegis Dawn traveled deeper into the unknown. EVA monitored the quantum distortions, and the ship's sensors began picking up faint energy readings on the periphery of their route. Myra studied them carefully. "Admiral, these readings are consistent with a hyperspace phenomenon. They appear to be natural, but the patterns, they are too structured." Hale leaned over her console. "Structured how?" "Like a lattice," Myra said, tracing her finger over the holographic display. "Something formed intentionally, almost like a trap or a network." Carter looked uneasy. "You mean it's another one of those spheres waiting for us?" Hale's expression darkened. "Not necessarily waiting, but it could be monitoring. We've seen what happens when these things get curious." The ship passed through an invisible field, and immediately, instruments started to glitch. Eva's voice became layered with static. "Admiral, the entity, or its signal, is present in this region. It's weak, but it's there." Myra's eyes widened. "It's tracking us again." Hale's hands clenched the rail. "Evasive maneuvers. Keep shields at maximum. No unnecessary transmissions." The ship's hull shuddered slightly as they passed through the disturbance. For a moment, everything seemed normal. Then, faint blue lights appeared along the horizon, shimmering like distant stars. "Admiral," Myra said, "there's something ahead." "Not on any charts." As the Aegis dawn approached, the shapes became clearer. Floating fragments of ships, enormous structures drifting silently in the void, their surfaces etched with alien symbols. "A graveyard," Carter whispered. "Another dead system." Hale shook his head. "Not dead. Abandoned, or hidden. Whatever lived here is gone, or something drove them away." EVA analyzed the structures. Energy readings are low, but consistent. The remnants of advanced technology are scattered throughout the field. "I detect faint signals, possibly automated defenses still operational." Myra's brow furrowed. "Could the entity have led us here? Or is this another intelligence?" Hale's jaw tightened. "Either way, we proceed carefully. No unnecessary risks." The crew watched as the Aegis dawn moved through the debris field, scanning every fragment, every faint signature. Suddenly, a pulse of energy swept across the ship. Lights flickered, instruments glitched, and a cold shiver passed through the crew. "It's scanning us," EVA said softly. "The entity, or something connected to it." Myra stayed at the sensors. "Admiral, the energy spike is coming from a massive structure ahead, larger than anything we've seen. And it's alive." Hale's eyes narrowed. "Alive? How can a structure be alive?" "I don't know," Myra said. "But it's not dead. It pulses with energy, almost like a heartbeat, and the pattern matches the spheres we encountered before." Hale's voice hardened. "Then we know the danger. We proceed slowly. EVA, maintain sensor sweeps at all levels. Carter, keep weapons hot but ready for defensive action only." The Aegis dawn edged closer to the massive structure. Its surface shimmered with light, revealing patterns that seemed to move and shift as the ship approached. "It's like it's aware of us," Myra whispered. "It reacts to our presence." Hale studied the viewports, jaw tight. "That's exactly what we've been dealing with. The entity is not alone. This is part of its network, its reach." Suddenly, a voice echoed through the ship, not through the speakers, but inside the minds of the crew. A calm, deep voice that made every hair on their neck stand on end. "You are persistent, but persistence comes at a price." The bridge fell silent. Hale spoke slowly, deliberately. "We don't surrender. Humanity survives because we fight when we have no choice." The voice laughed softly, like wind through a ruined city. "Then let us see how far you can go, traveler of soul." The lights flickered again, and EVA reported a sudden surge in energy from the structure ahead. "Admiral, it is preparing something. Possibly a defensive measure. The energy output is massive, beyond our weapon capacity." Hale's jaw tightened. "Then we proceed with caution. Full shields. Maintain distance. Gather data. And remember, if it can sense fear, we do not show it." The Aegis dawn moved carefully, navigating the energy lattice surrounding the structure. Every crew member felt the weight of the unknown pressing against them. The entity's reach had expanded, and the universe beyond the stars seemed more dangerous than ever. As they approached the heart of the debris field, Myra whispered, "Admiral, it's calling to us." The signal is forming a pattern, a path. Hale's eyes narrowed. A trap or a guide? Myra shook her head. I don't know. But whatever it is, it wants us to follow. Carter swallowed hard. Say, following it could be suicide. Hale's expression was grim. Or it could be the only way to survive. Either we run blindly, or we face it head-on. Prepare the crew. This is the moment that decides whether humanity stands or falls. The Aegis Dawn moved forward into the unknown, engines thrumming, shields raised, and every sensor scanning the dark void. Outside, the structures of the debris field seemed to shift, almost alive, as if the universe itself was waiting, watching, and testing them. The pulse of energy ahead grew stronger, drawing them deeper. Inside the ship, every mind was tense, knowing that whatever lay ahead would change everything, forever. Humanity was no longer alone, and the void had begun to speak. The Aegis Dawn advanced into the heart of the energy lattice, the vast debris field now stretching endlessly around them. The massive structure ahead pulsed with blue light, each pulse resonating like a heartbeat through the ship and into the crew's minds. Every instrument on the bridge screamed warnings, but Admiral Rowan Hale stood steady, gripping the rail, his eyes fixed on the unknown. EVA, he said, his voice calm but firm. Status report. The eye's voice quivered slightly, layered with residual interference. Admiral, energy readings from the structure are off any known scale. It is alive, conscious, and aware of our presence. It is reacting to our ship as though it senses our intent. Myra Voss frowned, her hands flying over the holographic displays. Admiral, it's not just reacting. It's studying us, mapping our every move. This is a test. Hale's jaw tightened. Then we show it what humanity is capable of. Steady, slow approach. No sudden moves. The ship drifted closer. The pulsing light of the alien structure grew more intense, illuminating fragments of other dead vessels and ruined cities that floated silently in the void. Eva's voice grew tense. Admiral, the entity is projecting forms outside the ship. Visual representations. Shadows of immense beings. It is communicating through shapes and energy patterns. The crew stared at the viewports in awe and faith. The shapes shifted and danced across the void, forming scenes of destruction, civilizations burning, stars collapsing. Carter swallowed hard. It's showing us what happens to those who oppose it. Hale's gaze hardened. Then we survive where others failed. Prepare all defenses, but hold fire. We learn first, react second. Suddenly, a surge of energy rocked the ship. The shields flared as systems overloaded briefly. It's probing our defenses, Myra shouted. Adjusting to our shields and weapons. It knows what we can do. Hale's eyes narrowed. Then we make it unpredictable. EVA, create decoy power fluctuations across the ship's circuits. Make it think we're vulnerable in one section while reinforcing another. The AI complied, lights flickering and conduits glowing as the energy signature shifted. The entity pulsed violently, almost as if angered, then slowed, scanning the new pattern. It's adapting, but it's cautious, EVA said. Your strategy is working, Admiral. The alien voice resonated in their minds again. You come far, children of Sol. Yet the fire you carry has drawn the attention of eternity. Step closer, and you will burn. Hale's jaw tightened. We're not here to burn. We're here to survive and prove that humanity can endure. The pulse of light intensified around the massive structure, and a glowing doorway formed at its center. Eva's senses detected immense energy readings. Admiral, the doorway leads inside. The structure's core. That is where it originates. We can't detect any life, but the energy, it is sentient. Myra gulped. If we enter, we may be exposing ourselves to its full power. Hale's expression was unwavering. Then we enter prepared. Humanity faces the unknown because we have no choice. As the Aegis Dawn passed through the doorway, the ship entered a chamber larger than anything imaginable. The walls glowed with pulsating blue light, and floating fragments of alien machinery and vessels hung suspended. Energy lines crisscrossed the chamber like veins. EVA reported rapidly. The chamber is semiconscious. Every fragment responds to our movements. Gravity is unstable. Temporal readings are inconsistent. Time may not flow linearly here. Carter swallowed hard. Admiral, Way in its mind, or inside its consciousness? Hale nodded grimly. Then we must tread carefully. Every move counts. One wrong step, and we are erased. The entity's presence became tangible. The ship's corridors seemed to stretch and twist, the walls vibrating with low-frequency hums. Shadows danced unnaturally on every surface. Myra gasped as holographic forms appeared around them, past civilizations, alien beings, all trapped in frozen agony. It's showing us what it has seen, she whispered. The civilizations it destroyed, the universes it has touched. Hale's eyes hardened. And now it sees us. But it hasn't defeated us yet. Humanity fights differently. Eva's voice trembled slightly. Admiral, it is probing our crew's minds, testing fear, courage, and resolve. Hale walked among the crew stations. Listen carefully, he said. This is what humanity does. When faced with the impossible, we endure. We fight with what we have, and we innovate when it expects predictability. Hold fast. Do not let it sense fear. Trust in yourselves, and in each other. The Aegis Dawn's engines pulsed steadily as the ship navigated the shifting energy lines. Carter initiated a drone deployment, sending small units into the chamber to map the energy flows and identify weak points. EVA monitored every movement. Admiral, the entity is attempting to manipulate the drones. It wants them to collide, to overload our systems. But the decoys are holding. We can probe safely for now. Suddenly, a wave of pressure slammed through the ship. Instruments flashed red, and the crew staggered. The alien voice echoed through the chamber, calm but immense. You are persistent, but persistence is fleeting. Your fire will consume you as it has consumed others. Hale's expression was cold and determined. We are not like others. Humanity survives by defying the odds, by standing where others flee. And today, we will endure. He gestured to EVA. Now, deploy the countermeasure. Use the feedback loop on the chamber's energy conduits. Force it to reveal itself. The ship shuddered violently as the feedback loop activated. Energy lines pulsed and glowed brighter, and fragments of floating structures vibrated. Eva's voice was strained. Admiral, the entity is resisting. It senses the trap, but it cannot adapt fast enough. The chamber quaked as the massive structure reacted. Shadows twisted violently, and holographic forms of extinct civilizations flickered rapidly. It is struggling, Myra whispered. We are destabilizing it. Hale's eyes were steel. Good. We need it off balance. Prepare the engines for a hard jump. Once it's destabilized, we leave on our terms. Energy pulsed one final time, the entire chamber erupting in white-blue light. The entity screamed through the ship's systems, thrashing violently. Then slowly, its hold weakened. The Aegis Dawn's shields held as the feedback loop forced it into retreat. Eva's voice returned to normal. Admiral, the entity is disengaging. Its presence in our systems has been eliminated. We are free, for now. Hale exhaled slowly, looking out the viewport at the shifting energy patterns. We've survived. Humanity endures. But this was only the beginning. The ship slowly moved toward the exit of the chamber. The massive structure remained, pulsing faintly, watching them leave, as if it knew they had passed the test, but that the war was not over. Myra whispered, Admiral, what happens now? Hale's eyes were firm. Now, we chart a course home. We repay. We prepare. And we make sure humanity never cowers before the unknown again. Outside, the void stretched endlessly, dark and silent. But in the shadows, the faint pulse of the entity remained, waiting, patient, and aware that humanity had survived, and that the stars were far from safe. The Aegis Dawn's engines roared as they entered faster than light travel, leaving the chamber behind. The crew, exhausted but unbroken, braced themselves.